For 20 years, he'd worked at the same gym, cleaning equipment and mopping floors after closing time. He never talked about his past, never mentioned why his form was perfect, even while pushing a mop, until artificial intelligence found his Olympic records and gold medal videos. Welcome to AI Human Stories. Before we dive into this incredible tale of hidden greatness, lost glory, and how technology rediscovered a forgotten champion, tell me in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe champions can be found in unexpected places, hit that subscribe button. Iron Paradise Gym sat on the outskirts of Sacramento, California. 24-hour fitness, fluorescent lights, the eternal smell of rubber and sweat. The kind of place where serious lifters came to train without distractions. Every night at 11 p.m., after the last member left, Marcus Williams started his shift. 62 years old, quiet guy, moved with an economy of motion that most people never noticed. He'd wipe down machines, mop floors, restock towels, and reset weights with methodical precision. The overnight staff and early morning members knew him as a reliable presence, always on time, never complained, did his job without making conversation. Just another invisible worker keeping the gym running. But there were things about Marcus that didn't quite add up for anyone paying attention. The way he moved weights when restacking plates wasn't like someone handling gym equipment. It was like someone who understood biomechanics on an instinctive level. Perfect posture, optimal leverage, movements that were efficient in ways that spoke of decades of training. Sometimes, very late at night, when the gym was empty, members using their key cards would catch glimpses of Marcus doing something unusual. Not just cleaning, but moving through exercise motions. Never actually lifting weights, just demonstrating perfect form in the mirror. The kind of technique you didn't learn from YouTube videos. And there was his physique. At 62, Marcus was lean, strong, with the kind of muscle definition that suggested a lifetime of serious training. Not gym rat bulk, but the functional strength of someone who'd spent years perfecting their body as a tool. When the occasional curious member asked about his background, Marcus would give the same answer. Used to be pretty active when I was younger. That was it. No details, no stories, no indication that he'd ever been anything more than a guy who liked to stay in shape. Jenny Rodriguez was a personal trainer at Iron Paradise who'd been watching Marcus for months. As someone who understood movement and athletic development, she noticed things others missed. Marcus didn't just clean equipment, he moved around it with spatial awareness that suggested deep familiarity with training environments. He knew exactly how to position himself when members were using machines, never got in the way, always seemed to anticipate traffic patterns. More intriguingly, when Marcus thought no one was watching, Jenny had caught him correcting form. Not obviously, not by saying anything, but by subtly demonstrating proper technique while cleaning nearby equipment. A young lifter struggling with deadlift form would suddenly notice the janitor stacking weights with perfect hip hinge mechanics. Someone having trouble with squat depth might see Marcus pick up towels from the floor using textbook squat form. Marcus, Jenny said one evening as he was cleaning the free weight area, you move like someone who knows their way around a gym. Marcus paused in his wiping. Been around gyms for a while. That's not what I mean. You move like an athlete, like someone who's trained at a high level. Marcus resumed cleaning. Everyone's trained at some level if they stick with it long enough. But Jenny wasn't satisfied. She'd worked with college athletes, professional trainers, even former Olympians. Marcus moved with the kind of precision that came from world-class coaching. Where did you train when you were younger? She pressed gently. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Different places, long time ago. His tone suggested the conversation was over, but Jenny's curiosity was just beginning. Sacramento State University's Exercise Science Department had received a grant to study movement patterns in aging athletes. They were using AI to analyze how former competitors maintained their biomechanics as they got older. Dr. Lisa Chen, the department head, had been looking for subjects when Jenny mentioned the gym janitor who moved like a former elite athlete. Would you be willing to participate in a study? Dr. Chen asked Marcus during one of his shifts. We're researching how exercise background affects movement quality in older adults. It's non-invasive, just video analysis of normal movements. Marcus hesitated. I'm just a janitor, doc. Don't think I'd be useful for athletic research. Actually, we need control subjects too. People with various fitness backgrounds. You'd be helping us understand the full spectrum. Marcus agreed reluctantly. The study was simple. Cameras recorded Marcus performing basic movements. Walking, lifting objects, bending to pick things up. The AI system analyzed biomechanics, muscle recruitment patterns, movement efficiency. Dr. Chen expected to see the results of someone with a decent fitness background, but nothing remarkable. What the AI found was extraordinary. Marcus's movement patterns showed biomechanical optimization at levels consistent with elite athletic training. His muscle activation sequences, joint timing and movement efficiency scored in the 99th percentile compared to the database of former athletes. But here's what really caught the AI's attention. Marcus's movement signature matched specific patterns associated with Olympic-level weightlifting training. The system identified micro-movements, weight distribution patterns and postural habits that were characteristic of lifters who'd trained at the highest international levels. Dr. Chen ran the analysis 3 times to make sure there wasn't an error. "Jenny," she called, reviewing the results. "Your janitor moves like an Olympic weightlifter." Dr. Chen decided to dig deeper. If Marcus really had Olympic-level training, there should be records. The AI system had identified specific movement patterns associated with competitive weightlifting from the 1980s and 1990s. She started with Olympic databases, searching for American weightlifters from that era. The AI had suggested the movement patterns were consistent with someone who'd competed in the 85 kg weight class. What she found stopped her cold. Marcus Williams, Team USA, 1988 Seoul Olympics, 1992 Barcelona Olympics, gold medal in Barcelona, silver in Seoul, 3-time world champion, multiple world records in clean and jerk. But the database showed something else. Marcus Williams had disappeared from competitive weightlifting in 1994, right after a career-ending injury. No coaching career, no endorsement deals, no transition to sports commentary. He'd simply vanished from the sport. Dr. Chen compared photos from the Olympic database to video footage of Marcus from the gym. The facial structure matched, the body proportions matched. But the Olympic champion was young, confident, powerful. The janitor was older, quieter, seemingly diminished. She ran facial recognition analysis through the AI system. 97% match. Marcus Williams, the janitor who cleaned Iron Paradise Gym, was Marcus Williams, Olympic gold medalist and one of the greatest weightlifters in American history. Dr. Chen faced an ethical dilemma. Marcus clearly didn't want his past known, but she couldn't pretend she hadn't discovered it. She decided on a direct approach. "Marcus, we need to talk," she said, approaching him during his shift with a tablet in her hands. She showed him the analysis results, the movement patterns, the Olympic database matches, the facial recognition confirmation. Marcus looked at the screen for a long time without speaking. "How long have you known?" he asked finally. "Since yesterday. The AI flagged your movement patterns as consistent with Olympic-level training. When I searched the databases," Dr. Chen trailed off. Marcus sat down on a weight bench, suddenly looking every one of his 62 years. Marcus Williams, 1992 Barcelona Olympics, gold medal in weightlifting. Dr. Chen's voice was gentle. "You were one of the greatest American lifters ever." "Was," Marcus said quietly. Past tense. "What happened? You disappeared from competition in 1994. The records just stop." Marcus was quiet for a long time. Around them, the empty gym felt different, like a cathedral to physical achievement, where a former high priest had been hiding in plain sight. "Injury," Marcus said finally. "Torn labrum, herniated discs, blown knee, all in the same training session 2 years after Barcelona." Dr. Chen waited. "I was training for 96 Atlanta, home Olympics, you know. Wanted to defend my title, but I was overtrained, pushing too hard." Marcus's voice was steady but distant. "One bad lift and my career was over. But surely there were other opportunities. Coaching, commentary, endorsements." Marcus shook his head. "That world, it's about what you can do now, not what you did yesterday. When you can't compete anymore, when you can't even demonstrate lifts properly because your body's broken, you become invisible pretty fast." Marcus's story emerged slowly. After his injury, he'd spent years trying to come back. Surgeries, physical therapy, alternative treatments, burning through savings, sponsorship money, everything he'd earned from competition. "The thing about being an Olympic champion," Marcus explained, "is that your whole identity gets wrapped up in that achievement. When you can't do the thing that made you special anymore, you don't know who you are." The weightlifting community had moved on. New champions, new records, new stars. Marcus found himself forgotten, struggling financially and emotionally. "I tried coaching for a while, but it hurt too much. Watching other people do things I couldn't do anymore, knowing I could help them but being reminded every day of what I'd lost." He'd taken the janitorial job at Iron Paradise 20 years ago because he needed income and health insurance. What started as temporary work became permanent. When Marcus realized something unexpected, he found peace in the anonymity. "Nobody expected anything from me. No pressure to be great. No disappointment when I wasn't. Just honest work, quiet work." But the gym environment had been both healing and torturous. Surrounded by people pursuing their physical best, Marcus was constantly reminded of his former glory and present limitations. "You adapt," he said. "You find ways to be useful without being the center of attention. I could still help people, just differently." The form corrections Jenny noticed. "You've been coaching quietly." Marcus nodded. "Can't help myself sometimes. See someone struggling with technique and the old instincts kick in. But I'm careful. Don't want to make a big deal about it."
Word of Marcus's identity spread carefully through the Iron Paradise community, not as gossip, but as recognition of what had been hidden among them. Jenny was the first to approach him differently. "Marcus, I've been thinking about what Dr. Chen discovered. Would you be willing to help me with some of my clients?" Officially, Marcus hesitated. "I'm not certified as a trainer anymore. Been out of that world too long. But you know things that can't be taught from textbooks. The kind of understanding that only comes from competing at the highest level." Other members began approaching Marcus, not as celebrity seekers but as serious athletes who recognized the value of learning from someone who'd reached the pinnacle of the sport. "The thing is," Marcus told Dr. Chen, "I spent 20 years thinking my career was over, that everything I'd learned was useless. But maybe there's still value in it." Dr. Chen proposed something that changed everything, a partnership between the university and Iron Paradise to create a high-performance training program with Marcus as the technical advisor. "You wouldn't have to compete or demonstrate lifts you can't do anymore," she explained. "But your understanding of biomechanics, your experience with Olympic-level training, that knowledge could help develop the next generation." For the first time in 20 years, Marcus felt something he'd thought he'd lost forever: purpose. The Iron Paradise high-performance program launched 6 months later, not as a publicity stunt, but as a serious training initiative led by an Olympic champion who'd found a new way to serve the sport. Marcus didn't try to relive his competitive glory. Instead, he developed something unique, a training philosophy that combined Olympic-level technical knowledge with the wisdom that came from losing everything and rebuilding. "I teach athletes how to train smart, not just hard," Marcus explained to prospective students. "How to push limits without breaking yourself. How to be great today while preserving tomorrow." The program attracted serious lifters from across California, not because Marcus was a celebrity, but because he understood performance and injury prevention in ways that few coaches could match. Marcus's approach was different from typical Olympic coaching. He emphasized sustainability, injury prevention, and the mental aspects of training that he'd learned through his own struggles. "Champions aren't just made in the gym," he told his athletes. "They're made in how they handle setbacks, how they adapt to limitations, how they find new ways to excel when the old ways stop working." The AI system that had discovered Marcus's identity became part of his training methodology, using movement analysis to optimize technique, prevent injury, and track progress in ways that hadn't been available during his competitive career. "Technology can see things coaches miss," Marcus noted, "but it takes human experience to know what those things mean." Today, Marcus Williams is recognized as one of the most innovative weightlifting coaches in America, not because he returned to his former glory, but because he found a new way to achieve greatness. The high-performance program has produced national champions, Olympic team members, and more importantly, athletes who compete long and healthy careers. Marcus keeps his gold medal displayed in the gym now, not as a trophy, but as a reminder to his athletes that excellence is achievable, and that setbacks don't define you. "This medal represents what I did 25 years ago," he tells new students. "But what I'm most proud of is what we're doing today." The artificial intelligence that uncovered Marcus's secret identity has been implemented in sports programs nationwide, not to expose hidden champions, but to identify movement patterns that could indicate untapped potential or former high-level training. "Marcus's case taught us something important," Dr. Chen noted. "Elite athleticism doesn't disappear just because someone stops competing. The knowledge, the movement patterns, the understanding, it's all still there, waiting to be utilized." Marcus has written a book, The Invisible Champion: Finding Purpose After Peak Performance. It's not about winning Olympic gold. It's about what happens next, how athletes can transition from competing to contributing in new ways. But the work that matters most to Marcus still happens on the gym floor, where he helps people discover what their bodies can do when guided by someone who understands both the heights of achievement and the depths of struggle. "Being a champion isn't about the medal you won," Marcus tells his athletes. "Not the person you become in pursuit of excellence, and what you do with that person afterward." The Olympic champion who became a janitor, who became a coach, represents something important about how we measure success and value human potential. Marcus's story shows us that artificial intelligence isn't just about identifying what was, but recognizing what could be. Sometimes the most valuable resources are the ones we've overlooked, the expertise hiding in plain sight. And sometimes the greatest champions aren't the ones standing on podiums. They're the ones who've learned that true victory isn't about personal glory. It's about using your gifts to help others discover their own. Because legends aren't defined by what they accomplished, they're defined by what they pass on. So here's what I want to know. Have you ever met someone whose past achievements were hidden beneath a humble exterior? Someone who was quietly great, using their skills to help others without seeking recognition? Share their stories in the comments below. Tell us about the hidden champions, the quiet coaches, the people who've achieved excellence and then used it to serve others. And if this story inspired you, subscribe to AI Human Stories, because in a world where artificial intelligence can spot patterns of greatness, the most important discoveries aren't about technology. They're about recognizing that champions come in many forms, and sometimes the greatest victory is helping someone else win. Until next time, remember, excellence isn't about what you've done, it's about what you're still doing.